So you were Navy?
Yes. Well, once a chief, always a chief. Navy, kind of the same way. It gets in your blood. Well, speaking of what Miss Britton just said, I want to mention a friend of mine named Lou. He was at Normandy on D-Day in the Navy, and he describes it. He's a great guy. He's about the same, maybe 89 or 90.
They all are about that age now.
Yeah. And, everybody had to. Well, the draft was enforced back then, which seems like it had a lot of good to it. I mean, we don't have that now. It's all voluntary now. But well, Lou described it. He said, we got off the ship, we all thought we were going to die. And he really meant it. I mean, people say that now as, though it's nothing.
Don't worry if you lose that. You're good.
Okay.
You're in your uniform. That ought to be good enough.
Yeah. I'd even written down some stuff, but then on the way over, it fell in the crack of my seat and I was getting lost.
As you were
and the
circling.
sun's shining right at you now. I always go to work before the sun comes up, so I'm not used to driving like this. So, I apologize for being late.
Oh, please don't.
This is a lot different from some other places in this country. Like you may have heard about areas of California where they don't want the recruiters because they don't want a military. In Norfolk, Virginia, where I was stationed, they used to have signs that said sailors and dogs keep off the grass. And they kind of looked down on the military.
Where was this, in California?
No, I wasn't active duty in California. I'd been out there sometime for the reserves, but in Norfolk, Virginia, at the base there, it used to be like that. That was before my time. They were a little bit more moderate when I was there, but still, if you had short hair, yeah.
You were looked down on.
Yeah, you didn't get any points with the women.
Really?
Well, I was single then, but I wasn't like some of the guys would. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, you don't even want to hear about it. It's just, I'm really glad to be in Forsyth County. I don't know the area as well as I should, I guess. We moved here from Hiram, my wife and I. She wanted to start a sushi restaurant at exit 13 on Highway 9. And it was open 2.5 years and it closed, and we had to go through bankruptcy and 2 foreclosures. And yeah, she cried about that. And I told her, or she said, I'm sorry. And I said, no, don't ever say that. We took the risk. I know what I was getting into when I put the house up as collateral. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today is leadership, because that's kind of what it's all about for me in the Navy. Now, I haven't been like ground forces, where you're getting shot at all the time. I have a lot of respect for anybody with that, who exercises that courage. They say that courage isn't something you have, it's something you do. And everybody has fear. What are you going to do? You're going to face it with courage, or you're going to do nothing. Well, that's one of the things in life that we have to grow into a lot of times. My experience with the Navy has taught me a lot about leadership and being part of a team. A lot of times, well, when I went to school, I was really bored by history and stuff like that. You had to memorize dates and names. I don't want to bore y'all.
Oh, no, you're not.
When I wrote down a bunch of stuff, oh yeah, Veterans Day, it used to be Armistice Day, based on the end of World War II, or World War I, I mean. And they signed the agreement with Germany and the Axis powers to end the war. And it was a celebration of those who died, which is now kind of Memorial Day. But other places in the world, they still celebrate Armistice Day as November 11th. Now, they changed it, because I guess I got Memorial Day for that. So, what does the military have to do with anything? Well, in other countries, that's one of the big things I learned being in the Navy, by seeing so many other areas of the world. Not in a luxurious cruise ship setting where you go in these fenced-in resorts, but the same places that people go in those, we pulled into in a guided missile nuclear cruiser. And the real people meet you when you walk off the pier.
Let that thing just go. You don't
I'll
even.
put it on the bottom of my shoe.
Yeah.
Put it on this.
There you go.
Oh, darn, upside down. Well, yeah, they grab you by the arm. My friend. And these people want to deal with you because they see an American and they think, oh, these people have enough food to eat and I don't. They learn how to deal and bargain, because that's all, they don't have enough food to eat. Has anyone here ever gone hungry for real? I mean, like, hasn't eaten for, 3 or 4 days at a time at least?
Because you didn't have it? Absolutely not. Not one of you, I'm sure.
I have, but it was for a different reason. I got religion in college, and I kind of went anti-materialistic for a while, because you think, oh, love of money is the root of all evil? No, that was out of context. No, you say money is the root of all evil? Well, the love of money is the root of all evil if you want money above, if that's top on your list of priorities. If you want to put it to work for you to achieve what you really want to do in life. And that's what I think a lot of people in this country are missing nowadays. There are a couple things. Is the realization of what it feels like to be hungry, and also, what do you want to do? What do you want to do in your life? What did God put in your heart? Or if you don't believe in God, like I was an atheist growing up, I wouldn't say, what did God put in your heart? But what's your passion? I became a born-again Christian in college, but that's beside the point. This isn't a religious holiday or anything. But the living according to principles, when you know what God put in your heart, is what we have the freedom to do in this country more than any other country, I think. Now, there's some European countries that are closed, and I was thinking about comparing some of them. Like Northern Europe, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, all those, they're pretty well off. Been to Oslo one time. They're real kind of Americanized. They got it from us, this whole freedom thing. And I was in Zurich for Switzerland for a couple times in the last couple of years for work, for a month at a time. So I really got to know some of these people. And they have something really good there. Switzerland's neutral, right? And everybody serves in the military. Well, there are exceptions. You can do like some kind of community service or something in place of that. I didn't really understand it when they said, because they speak German over there. But one thing they don't really have much of hope for is, what we call the American dream. They say like owning your own home, your own, having your own piece of land or whatever. Because a house over there, something smaller than what we got, because they're crowded, is over 1 million Swiss francs, which is more than $1 million, maybe 1.1. That's what they started. So it's got to be kind of a multi-generational thing to actually own property, unless it's a business. So that's one of the differences. But they're very competent people over there. Everybody gets to take their guns home from the military. That might be good for staying neutral, what country around them is going to want to invade? Everybody's got guns at home, right? Well, it's a different culture if you're going to talk about gun control. I mean, my dad joined the NRA when he was 7, and it wasn't about macho, you know, let's have guns. It was about gun safety. You know, never pointed at anything or anyone that you don't intend to shoot at. Always be conscious of where it's pointed, whether it's loaded or not. That's one thing that we just don't have in our society nowadays. Except some older folks or some people who are really into it, who have that respect for weapons. You know, a lot of people get injured and hurt. Heck, I shot my finger once. I was holding one of my dad's guns, and I felt something go by my finger, and so I moved it out of the way in the wrong direction. I didn't know what it was. It was a BB gun. It was just the end of my finger. That was a little scar. Yeah, I'm an idiot. No, not really. They told me I was smarter than everybody else when I was in school. I was made the grades. I was a nerd. I was really shy with girls. Real bad. That's a good problem to have relative to going hungry and worrying about where your next meal's coming from. So gratitude is one thing that it's something you just don't get without maybe going through a little suffering or maybe getting to know somebody who has. But why do we need a military? What do you think? Yeah?
Protect our country.
Okay.
What we believe in.
What's that?
Protect our country and what we believe in.
Yeah, what we believe in. I like that. Because one thing, I love history nowadays. I was bored sick of it when I was a kid, but learning about the principles of the founding fathers of this country, wow, I love reading audiobooks. Well, I'm sitting in a car, you know, an hour each way to work. So you know, Zig Ziglar calls it Automobile University, and that's a great thing. It took a little getting used to it first. I'd have to switch back to music because the words were, but I got used to it, and now I've learned so much. Not that I had to memorize or have to be tested on, but stuff that about really great people, and not only military people, but the founding fathers of this country. George Washington, man, biography about him. He wasn't much of a speaker. He was a quiet man, but he had a presence. You know, the Native Americans shooting at him, they quit shooting at him because he was right there in the middle of everything. Stood a head taller than everybody else on his horse, and they missed him every time. So it's we're not even going to shoot at him anymore. Great Spirit is protecting him.
And he was called that, the Great Spirit.
He was?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Use those words, yeah.
Wow.
There was, many people feel he had protection from God.
Yes.
Because he should have been shot many times.
Absolutely.
Because he was always at the front. He was not one of these generals that waited up on the hillside and watched it. He was out in the front where he could have and should have been shot. So he was called Great Spirit.
And one time, when the rest of his troops fled, he went the other direction, said, come on back, don't run away. Well, the British were right there. He took his horse right up to them, and they were just looking at him. Nobody shot him. Nobody. They all had respect for him. He had a purpose, and I think everybody has one. And most people don't even try to find out what that is. I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up. I'm almost 51. I get paid to play games all day, kind of. Well, that's what I call it. I do 3D CAD engineering design. And for a nerd like me, it's kind of fun. I'm doing math all day.